Hello, welcome back to More Fun Fixing It. I've got a nice, I'm going to say it's a simple repair. The last time I said that, the last 3 or 4 times I've said that, they've been 50-minute long videos. I've got 2, so I'm tempting fate. So I've got 2 ZX81s here, and they are both marked up in very similar ways. These are both from Paul, Universal Retro Boss, my friend and supplier of broken things to fix. And they both say they've got white screens. And this one is apparently lovely. And the red lettering is slightly brighter and nicer than this one, I suppose. Keyboard looks a little bit darker, probably just cleaner. It's missing some feet. And this one is missing no feet. But that's okay because we've got to pull some of them off anyway because there's some screws hiding behind some of the feet. Right, so I did, before I pressed record, I did turn one of these on. I think it was this one. And I plugged in my UHF lead here and I turned my TV onto the UHF channel and I tried to tune it and it wasn't having any of it. So I've scrapped that. I'm going to get rid of that. Let's get rid of that lead. It's in my way. I'm going to go for composite instead. To be able to do that, well, I'm going to eventually put one of these little composite mod boards into each of these with possibly a 555 timer chip, depending if they need it. But we'll get into that later. But these are the eventual way this will display its output. But to do all of that, I need to get into them first. And I'm going to do this one first because it's got easy access to the screws. Now, generally, with a ZX81 that comes up with a white screen, I think, in my experience with the ones that Paul has sent me in the past, they have actually been working and they just needed a composite mod. So I'm hopeful that that's the case here and that we haven't got to replace too many parts. But it would be nice to also have a repair to make if there were a white screen. But what worries me in ZX81s is that if it's a ULA, then that's basically game over. Unless you want to spend, well, especially here in the UK, you can get a VLA 82, I believe it is, but they're made in Australia. And by the time they're shipped to this side of the world, they become quite expensive. They are a reasonable price, actually, for what they are. Is it an FPGA or CPLD based ULA replacement? Fantastic things, but postage absolutely kills the whole deal, really, for us on this side of the planet. I'm just gonna mark. I always do this because I have to mark these two where these screws on the inside go, because when you put the case back together, if you've already put a screw in there, say, and you go to put a screw in there, it makes a bit of a mess. Just makes things a little bit easier. And got to be careful of the membrane down in this corner. Looks in good condition, the membrane. Oh, a nice clean board. Now, the first time I opened up a ZX81, I got very excited because it said issue 1 here. But most of them are issue 1s. So that's nothing to really write home about. Okay, so that should be the 5 volt here going into the modulator. And then the other line there should be the video signal coming out of the ULA into there. A quick thanks to PCBWay for sponsoring this repair. I often see here on More Fun Fixing It that sometimes a repair isn't just about swapping a capacitor or replacing a bad RAM chip. Occasionally the original board is corroded, cracked or completely destroyed by an over-enthusiastic repair. When that happens, often the best fix is to reverse engineer it and get a brand new one built. That's where PCBWay shines. You can design a replacement board for a vintage machine, upload the files and have a professional quality replica sent to you in no time at all. It's the ultimate way to save equipment that would otherwise be scrap. And if you're restoring something with a missing trim piece, a broken bracket, or even a smashed case, their 3D printing service can reproduce those mechanical parts too. Don't let a bad board end the repair. Check out the link in the description to get your replacement parts made. Thanks to PCBWay. Okay, there are a couple of things that we can look at here first. And you really should do visual inspections of these things. There are a couple of electrolytic capacitors, so I'm just checking that they haven't leaked and they look okay to me. Just make sure that nothing is burnt, that there isn't a hole in the voltage regulator. That often happens, or that there's no broken solder joints on the back of it. That often happens. And the Z80 is from 1981, 47th week, ULA, 49th week, same year. 1981 on the ROM, and the memory is not, oh yes it is, 81, 46 week. So all contemporary dates on the chips. There's two positions for the RAM here. You've got this big SRAM here, or you've got two 2114s can go in, one here and one underneath this footprint here. There's another row of pins underneath there. And they come with either. But what's really nice on this board is everything is socketed, including the SRAM. That's quite unusual. I'm wondering if this was a home-built one. Quite a lot of these were. That resistor there is very close to shorting out on its next door neighbour. Let's just bend that out of the way. So I don't think that the factory would have done these resistors like this, because they are a little bit dangerous in terms of shorting out. If I mean, they're not going to do anything because they would just, I don't think they would. Right, anyway, look, let's plug it in. I'm going to plug it into my TV first, and then I'll show you on capture if there is anything to show. And the way I'm going to do this is I'll give it power, but I'm just going to hold the lead so that the outer part of this plug touches the can, and then the end of the plug will touch that lead, and see if I can get a picture. Let's give it some power. This is the DC socket. They're all the same, really dangerous. But yeah, that's drawing 490 milliamps. Yeah, white screen. Okay. What's wrong there? So on capture, it's actually just given a black screen. I don't think that's going to be any different. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because it's not working very well on capture, I'm going to keep it on the main screen so that I can see a clear picture. Point you up there so you can see a clear picture as well. Let's just verify that we're still getting... We're getting a black screen now. Why are we getting a black screen? Well, look, we need to check for things like voltages, so let's do that. It doesn't take very long on a ZX81 because there's only a couple. Now, well, there's three. There's the incoming voltage, there's the outgoing voltage, voltage on the board itself, which is fine. Yeah, it's definitely a black screen now. Now I've got lines. You probably can't see that on there. I'm going to switch back to capture because the screen's doing the same as capture. Then I might as well show you what's going on. Yeah, it's just, no, it doesn't even want to display now. No, nothing. I think the first thing to do is to pop these chips out and deoxit those sockets, or contact clean those sockets, because I can't deoxit the sockets because living in the UK, deoxit costs an absolute fortune, and I'm not paying that much just to be able to make my Adrian copied catchphrase rhyme. Oh, well, that's interesting. I don't know what happened to that. Look at the legs of this chip. Okay, SRAM, the Titanic version. I've got some more of that. I'm just going to get a new one. I thought I had some more, but I don't think I have. Well, look, in the first thing I'm going to try and do is clean these legs. 240 grit sandpaper, a lot more aggressive than I would normally go with on something like this. But these are really badly corroded. I'm having to take off quite a lot of material. And because it's a single wipe socket, not really doing much good actually sanding the outside of these legs. I need to sand the inside. Difference that's made. So that's one side. Come on, focus. And that is the other side. They're black. I think this might have been rescued from a shipwreck or something. Okay, they're roughed up quite badly, but let's see if that's made a difference. We're back to a black screen. That could just be a very, very dark ZX81 screen. It's really hard to tell. I'd have a better idea on the TV here. I don't know. Hard to say. Okay, let's carry on with our chip leg cleaning. And the Z80 CPU now. I have got a CPU tester to build, but I haven't got round to doing it yet. It would have been nice to use that in this one. They look fine. Horrible socket though. I don't know how they got these chips in here with the legs so splayed. Let's do the others first. Anyway, the ROM. ROM looks okay. The RAM is Mostec branded, so it's just basically in the era when Commodore were just cutting loads of Mostec were cutting loads of corners in their production, I should think. Trying to save ourselves as much money as possible. I mean, these were throwaway machines. They weren't ever meant to be, you know, mission critical computer infrastructure. The ULA pins all look good. Really shiny. Oh, another horrible socket. Okay, I don't think I can see anything down there. So what I'm going to do next, need to see if we've got clock and if we've got reset and then yeah, that's the sensible thing to do really, isn't it? I've got my scope set up as you can see on the screen, and pin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is our clock, and then 26. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is reset. I'll turn the machine off and back on. That's fine. So do we have any activity at all? Oh dear. Well, that's data lines. Hot is high, so it's not obvious. Not doing anything. There's just no activity. What's going on? Could it be a dead CPU or a dead ULA? Very tricky to tell. Got reset and a good clock, but no activity. It kind of lends itself towards a broken CPU that it's not even trying to run. If it was a broken ROM or a broken ULA, there'd be activity still. Okay, it's a Gold Star Z80 PS, same. I don't know whether it's a NMOS or CMOS CPU. I can never remember which is which, but this is the same as what was in there. I thought, oh my God, I've left it switched on, but I haven't. It's switched off up there. Let's try that. Hello. Okay, we've got some activity now, poking at random bits and bobs. Yeah. Let's see if I've got anything on the screen. Yes, I can just make out on the screen that there's a cursor there. That's a working ZX81 now, and that is a bad CPU. All right, I'm going to put a cross and a question mark on it because I want to test it in something else just in case those legs are crusty. So the memory actually survived being refinished. The ULA is a working ULA. That is brilliant. All I need to do now is take this modulator off of here and replace the guts with one of these. And I'm certain that I'm going to need the 555 timer for this. Okay, the first thing I want to do is remove the video signal and the 5 volts from the modulator where they go into the motherboard. It's going to heat from above. It just makes things a little bit easier. Like that. That's good. I can ignore those for now because they're just going to get chopped off in a minute. Okay. Now that the only thing holding the modulator on now are these 2 points here, I'm just going to flow a little bit of solder. This is the easiest way I found to remove these because they are not easy to remove. If you try to remove all of the solder around here, you end up damaging the pads, and especially this side. So the easier way to do this is to heat one side and then just lift it out most of the way and lift that one out. Look, seconds to get that out. I've struggled with these when I've tried to take them out, you know, by removing all of the solder first. Absolute nightmare. There we go. Now I need to concentrate on this side. First thing to do is get the bottom half of this modulator can off. A bit too much solder on that. Clean that up a bit more in a minute. So we've got the bottom half, we've got a little insulator pad, piece of cardboard, and we've got the actual modulator itself. And this is attached in a few different places and down here. There's a solder point there, one there, one there, one there. And there's also one there and one there, which are part of this piece of metal here. All of this needs to come out and it won't be saved. So I'm not going to be precious about it. It will. I've got loads of these from previous ones. So if I ever need, and they've been preserved, I will keep them. But for now, I'm not too worried. All right, to get those out, I'm going to pop this onto some, or mount this onto the desk with some blue tack and start soaking up some of this solder. And you need a decent soldering iron for this. So my Sugon is pretty powerful and it tends to do very well at this kind of job. But even so, you're trying to heat up to 300 degrees, a solid chunk of metal there. I keep getting told off for not chopping bits off of my, actually, let's do it. This is how you should use solder braid. You should chop off chunks of it and use the chunks. for different reasons, but I'm just a bit lazy. So there's a few chunks to get us going. And you use your tweezers to place them, like so. A little bit left in that corner. My soldering iron is only at 350 degrees and it's still coping with this really well. Little intermission, the postman just came again and delivered this. I haven't had, well, I've not got like a Dremel tool. I've got a little pen engraver thing, but I wanted something that was going to be a little bit more useful for drilling holes and things. So I was recommended this Greenworks. Well, I found a recommendation on YouTube for this Greenworks tool and I ordered one. Oh, I like the translucent case. That's fancy. I'm hoping that I'll be able to use things like the wire. I'm going to have to get some different smaller ones because I want to be able to clean out the contacts inside here with, I usually use like a brass wire wool pen, and I want to be able to use something that spins and makes it more dangerous for me. Let's have a quick look and then we'll get back on with the repair. Nice. Well, I'm definitely going to need some more accessories because the ones that come with it are a bit rubbish. I'm impressed. That's quite good. Probably need to hold it down there rather than up where I was holding it, but yeah, okay. Look forward to seeing that in future videos. Now I've made a mess. On with the repair. Okay, so at this point it just becomes a case of wiggling it until it comes free. Oh, that metal bit there is often soldered to the inside of the can. It's stayed with the board on this one, which is actually a bit handy because that's a pretty difficult thing to get off sometimes. We have a modulator can that's ready to go. Let's clean this bit off. Ah, I've got a use for my new spinny tool. I need to get rid of this completely. The best way to do most of that is to actually break it with some pliers. It makes a bit of a mess. I'll get my blue tack out of the way because that'll be the end of the blue tack because it turns to dust, this stuff. This bit here, this is where the 5-volt goes in and it's insulated so it doesn't touch the can, which is obviously ground. So I need to break that like that. Oh, that's broken quite nicely actually. It also needs to come off on the inside as much as I can, and then I need to grind away there to get that to make that a little bit more smooth. The wire would probably fit through there at the moment, but I just want to make sure that that's in a good place. Oh, and I've got the perfect tip on here as well, because I can do flat. And I can do lovely. I like this. Nice. I also need to make the hole a bit bigger in one of these. I can't remember which one it needs to be now. So this will fit in here like this. And I've got 3 connections here. I've got the 5 volt, the video in and the video out to wire up. And I think I usually use this middle one, yeah, for the video in. So I need to make that wider. Let's have a look at the bits. Okay, I've got a drill bit here. Should do the trick. I think the drill bit is actually a bit big. This is my old one, my old polishing pen one. Are these the same size collets? You know what? I think I should just use a drill. That's better. I don't want to take too much material off of that, otherwise I expose the metal underneath. Yeah, that looks good. Right, so I need to wire this up first. That's my video out and video in, and then I'll add the 5 volt in after these are secured. Ignoring the mess on my workbench, I can now put this in place. And it sits, there's some like little indents on the sides, and it will sit on top of those to keep it in the right place. This board wants to slot between them though. Okay, it's going to secure one corner of it over here. So where I always burn my fingers. Let that go cold-ish. Now there's a big old gap there, but the end of this one will actually connect to the can. That's it. Lovely fillet up there. Whoa. Okay, that's going to be hot. Now the red can go out through the original 5 volt. Ow, it's still hot. Okay, so the red can go out here like that. It's nice and a nice big hole there, so it's not going to make any cuts into that wire. It's nice and loose. This one's nicely insulated with plastic. This is the video in. Get that one out of there. This one I need to wire to the internal part of the RCA jack. Cut it off nice and short. Strip the end, and I'm going to tin the wire before I try to add it to the jack. That's good. That's ready to go back in. I just need to put that back in there and that back on there with its secret little message underneath it. and then put this back in the board. But I'm just going to clear up my disgusting workbench first. Oh, I need to wax my workbench. So this goes back in here where it came from. And so you've got 5 volts going in, and the only ground is these give the whole thing ground. So the pads that we soldered on the other side, well, I soldered on the other side, you didn't solder anything. You just sat there and watched. The pads I soldered on the other side are the ground, the electrical ground. These can be quite tricky to get the wires into here, so I'm not sure if I'm going to tin this first or not. If I can get it in first, yeah, I've got it straight in there without any wire spraying out the sides. So if you tin it, it does make the wire easier to handle, but it also makes it a little bit thicker, and these are really the right size already, the wires on this board. And nailed it. That should now be a functioning composite mod. If this has a back porch, it will work as it is without the 555 timer chip in there. If we still get a very dark screen, then it will need the 555 timer in it. So let's see what it does. I'm going to put it in here because it's just in here. Makes it a little bit safer because there's all sorts of debris on my desk now. Normal composite lead. Normal. So it's Lee from the future here. I'm actually halfway through recording the next episode and editing the episode that you're watching at the moment. And there's a bit of footage missing where I plug in the ZX81, one of these that's the subject of this video. I'm not going to say whether they're repaired or not. And when I plugged it in, I saw a very dark screen and I could just about make out the shape of a cursor in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, which meant that the ZX81 was actually working and the 555 timer needed to be installed, which I installed. And when I plugged that in to the composite mod and turned on the ZX81 and switched on capture, well, I didn't get anything on capture. I could get a perfect image on my screen, but there was nothing on capture. And I dug around for a little while, and it looks like that the capture device that I was using at that time for the ZX81, my StarTech.com video capture device, which is brilliant, it's an absolutely fantastic device, but for some reason it will not work with a ZX81 composite signal. Now, I'm not sure why, but it looks like the composite signal is a little bit strong. It's a bit higher voltage than a composite signal should be, but I'm going to, hopefully other people will look at that and will maybe look at if it could be a problem on certain displays or not. But for all intents and purposes, fixed, it's working. So we can move on. Let's move on then. Well, you move on with watching that. I'm going to get on with fixing this ZX Spectrum. Time travel is weird. Yeah, it's almost 1.2 volts peak to peak, so that is, 20% too hot. I could try and bring that down with by changing a resistor, but I'm not sure how this board really works, so I might not. Okay, so I've had a little play with this to see if I can get a signal out of it, and I'm pretty sure it's the capture device doesn't like whatever signal is coming out of here. It's a really nice signal. It's 1.2 volts peak to peak, so it's a bit high, but I did try sticking some inline resistors just to bring that down, just to see if I could get a sync lock, and it didn't make any difference. So I'm going to call this fixed. I'm pretty sure it's just my capture device. If I stick this, shove that in my TV, it works absolutely perfect. All right, so let's carry on and get this video done. I haven't got any spare membranes. I don't think. Oh, there's a bug in there. Ew. So I'm just going to go for putting this back together. These membranes are shockingly fragile. Looks like this one's already been trimmed as well, which reduces the chances that this is going to work. There's no good way to do this. And so because it's already been trimmed down, I can't trim it down again. It's already really hard to get that on there. I don't know if it's actually in there properly, but let's stick a couple of screws in here and see what it does. Screws have gone everywhere. You never know. Still works. Oh, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Yes. That's amazing. I can't believe that that's worked. Whee! Oh, semicolon in the wrong place. It works. Right, put that one to one side and get on with the next one. Actually, I'll label this. Z80 CPU replaced, comp mod, and keyboard is good. Nice. Right, quick tidy up of the bench and a little reset of everything, and then we'll do the other one. It's about right. This one, I'm not going to bother trying to tune it in. There's not much point. I don't think it'll work. This TV just, I've only ever managed to get it to display one RF signal in the past before, I think. So I don't see the point in trying. There's one under there. Ooh. I'm not sure the feet have ever been off of this one. So not one under that foot. There's just these two and this one here. That one I can just plop back in. I'll leave the screw in that side. Little witness marks. Oh, all right. So mostly socketed. This time it's got the same SRAM chip in it, and it's a MOSTEC one again, and it's an even earlier one. Oh no, 41st week. It's a very similar vintage. 82 ULA, so it's just a little bit later. And the CPU is 80, 34th week of 1980. And right, so let's try the modulator trick by poking the wire down here. Can't see anything burnt or broken or shorting, and the voltage regulator looks intact. 389 milliamp draw, which is a little bit lower than the last one. Yeah, I can't see a K on that screen this time, so well, I couldn't last time because it had a faulty CPU. So we'll start there in the same place. Attach a scope to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 3.2 megahertz, and then 26, I think is reset. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Turn it off. Turn it back on. Yeah, that's good enough. So the address lines. The address lines aren't. Oh, some of the address lines. Oh no, that's the clock. And these are data lines. Halt is low, and that's bad. So the CPU is halted for some reason. And read. Oh no, write is high. So it's not writing anything. Wait is high. That's wait. Wait high. Bus request is high. That's reset. And one for the redo thing. Refresh. And then we're up to ground and then address. All right, so we have got something on the address bus. But that just looks like a CPU that's not doing anything. It's stuck for whatever reason. So first things first, clean up the sockets. Well, this time I'm going to take a leaf out of Adrian's book. I'm just going to lever the chip up so that's almost out of the socket. A little trick I saw him use in his digital basement. Like that. Squirt some contact cleaner in there and then push it back in. That should clean the contacts up enough. This one I'm going to take out because it's not one of them horrible... Oh, it is one of them horrible sockets. The chip legs are really pristine. So I'm not taking the ULA out. Let's do the same trick with this. No, it doesn't make any difference, but I don't like the idea of all of that contact cleaner sitting on the board. I'm just going to get rid of it. Do we have... That looks more like activity. So the halt signal was active. Now it's high. That's... The CPU is no longer halted. I wonder if we get a signal. I'm really struggling to make good contact here. In a very weird picture. I wonder if I can see that on the scope. I should be able to see the video signal. Yeah, there's a video signal there. Whether that's the right one or not. So I think the best thing to do here is to replace this modulator. Well, yeah, replace this modulator with a composite mod and then try again. So you've seen this already once in this video. I'm not going to make you watch it all again. I will cut here and come back with this installed. Where's the button? Okay, I've prodded and poked around at this. It's the next day, by the way. I've had a little rest and a little think, and I've prodded and poked at this. I've tried scoping out various points, and things like this keep upsetting me because the halt pin on the CPU, and you can see on this screen here that I've got a garbled mess. If I turn this off and back on again, I get a white screen, and now the CPU is like this halfway thing. Sorry, the halt is halfway, and then now the halt is halted. It's all kind of random. Oh, this is an amazing pattern going up here now. I had one earlier where it was all colourful, so I managed to get colour out of a ZX81. But there are, there's things like the data lines which are around here are showing activity, and the address lines, whilst not really showing good activity, are showing pulses, but they don't look like they're running code. To me, that just looks like something's stuck in a loop. And I've still got a good clock, and I've still got a good reset. But where do I go from here? So let's turn that off. The options here, because these three are in sockets, the easy thing to do is to test these first. I'm still leaning towards it being a RAM problem, and I quite like it to be a RAM problem because I've got some they're 32K static RAM chips that I can put into here and wire in directly to upgrade this to an onboard 16K machine. That would be quite nice if I have to do that, but that's only if the RAM is faulty. Now, the easy thing to do, the quick win, because I've got that other ZX80 hanging around here which I know has got socketed everything, so I can test all of these chips. But I've still got my ZX80s here, and I could just swap this one out just to rule this out. I don't think it's the Z80 CPU because it looks, well, with that halt signal going high and low, it could be. But I think I'm still leaning towards either the ROM or the RAM, and my favourite is the RAM. But this is switched off. I'm going to pop the Z80 out and stick a new one in and see, just to rule it out. It's worth doing. I've got a 2018 one, a 2017 one, and a 1995 one. We'll stick the earliest vintage in, just so it doesn't get too shocked. Future shock. Oh, that went in quite nicely. Right, what does that do? Oh, it works. Okay, that's fixed it. Bye. No. Okay, well, that shows what I know. 2 out of 2 actually. Both of these ZX81s have actually got broken CPUs. Well, that is a bit of a shame, but it's also another good reason for me to build that Z80 CPU tester. That Z80 tester. So this one's getting an X as well. Well, other than that, I don't really need to do anything else in here. Okay, I've figured out, I've changed my capture device, so now you can see I've got a nice image coming out of capture. It's a bit fuzzy, it's not as nice as the other one. It's not as nice as it is on the screen, but it's working. So does the keyboard work? Is the next question. Oh, it's amazing. Yes. You can't run your finger along a ZX81 like you would a normal keyboard. That just doesn't work. You have to physically push in with quite a lot of force each point along. There is kind of an indent there, so you can feel it, but it's a terrible thing. It's a really bad keyboard. And look, if I want to do rub out, I can't hold it down. There's no key repeat. I remember this when we had a ZX Spectrum come along, that the key repeat being part of the operating system was a big deal. We finally had a computer that we could hold down a key and it would just do bip, 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 multiple keys. But you could do that on a ZX81 or a ZX80. I remembered that I had one 16K RAM pack. That doesn't work. And then I remembered that I recently picked up this memo pack, which is a gorgeous thing, for £5 from the Bring in Byte sale in Cambridge. And that doesn't work either. Let me show you what that does. This is what that does. And I can't leave it on for too long, just in case, because this is a 16K memory expansion for the ZX81. It will have 4116 chips in it, same as the lower RAM and the ZX Spectrum. So it'll have 8 4116 chips in it. And there's probably some voltage missing, which means if I leave it on for too long, they'll melt. I mean, they're probably melted anyway. Maybe a repair video. But I have tried cleaning the edge connector and to no avail. Okay, so amazingly, I've put exactly the same thing on both of these. Z80 CPU replaced, comp mod, keyboard, good. Exactly the same. So white screen looks like a bad CPU. Who knew? Right, so that's it for this one. I'll see you in the next one, I suppose. Where else are you going to go?